allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ballhauser?
Here.
Trustee Frank
Here.
Clark? Trustee Ted West?
Here.
Okay, Frank, we're gonna waive the,
Okay.
reading, so we'll just waive that. Mike heard it before, he's the only one. Thank you. Okay, 061-19 to approve the agreement between the Bazetta Township Trustees and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Local 377 effective January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2020.
I'll make the motion. Abstain.
And I'll second.
You got the second, yes, sir.
Okay, Trustee Hovis?
Yes.
Trustee Clark? And Trustee West?
Yes.
Okay, now, we can't do that until do you have Dennis's appropriations?
I do.
And you guys went through those, because I just want clarification so that we know what's coming out of what funds. And one thing that, just so you know, on the appropriations, and I was talking with Jeannie, our lighting district may not have enough money in that fund as well.
Okay, I think she can arbitrarily just
We
go
have
with
to,
the auditor and tell them to
but we
increase
have to pass a
resolution
resolution.
to do that.
Yes,
You'll want to do that then on the
on
12th,
the 12th.
because
Okay, so that'll
we're
be
losing money.
So that'll be a change to your temporaries that you send in. Okay. And, on the police one, like Mike and Chris and everybody said that theirs was all set. The only other, were you gonna change the line item on the impound lot? So it's money in, money out?
If I can, if there's something that allows that, I'll have to wait and see when we're on UAN.
And,
Chris said if you need to call him, he's available by phone.
okay,
Him and I just got through talking a little bit ago. He was getting 90,000 on gas tax, and if this thing goes up to 18, he'll get 151.
that's what
About
I
60,000.
About 60,000 more.
Yeah. It's not much, but
Now
It's gonna raise it, what, 18 cents a gallon is what they're talking?
Yeah.
but see, we used to get like 125, 130,000, and it went down, and I see it's at 90,000 and 47, and when it goes up, it's gonna be 151.90. I can't read it, so.
So it'll go from roughly 90,000 to 150,000.
Yeah, about 60 grand. A quarter of a mile blacktop, maybe not that much.
Now, when that goes into effect, after the permits are done, then we're gonna have to do a,
Addendum.
amendment to
Yeah.
the appropriations, and that'll have to be by resolution
What,
as well.
have they said yet, when, because it has to go through the legislative body first,
Yeah.
but they haven't said anything on when that would go into effect?
He's supposed to sign it today or tomorrow, and then it goes in, and it'll probably be 30 days, I suppose.
Okay, because I know the legislative body has to vote on it or do
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and then they'll collect it almost immediately, it'll raise at the pump within that after that 30-day period, I'm guessing.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. And then how soon after that do they distribute?
We get it, once a year, I think, on the gas tax.
Gas tax, we get it monthly.
Is that a monthly now?
Okay, so,
It's about 7,000 to 7,500 a month.
Month.
Okay.
Okay.
Unless
So-
you add it up, it's usually 90,000.
okay, so we could see it within a month after it goes.
But it
into
goes
effect.
through the county before it gets here.
Okay.
We get 20%, townships get like 20% of that comes
Okay.
in. You don't, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so Chris, you're all set then, we don't need to make any changes on this.
Correct.
And Chris's, we're all good until the gas tax comes in.
Yeah, he was saying something on 3 and 4, but I can't remember what he told me now.
Okay, well, if he needs to change any of that once it's temporary, we'll have to do the same thing there as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
But those have to be passed by resolution, which I'm guessing probably won't be until June, July.
Is it that far?
Well, you figure this is the end of February,
Well,
by the
that's
time
true,
it
too.
goes through with the
Yeah.
gas tax and everything.
Yeah.
So, okay, on
All right.
Dennis, is the, questions that I had, are temporary on workman's comp, did he change that number? Because with a few individuals, he had it in at 16.5,
He's got it to
And I
18,
think-
he's got it to 18.5 now.
18.5, so that's one change. And then, utilities at 30,000.
Utilities at 30,000, actually he brought that down to 25.
Okay, what did he, by chance, say what the,
He did not, he just said utilities, it's everything, it's garbage, electric, gas, sewage,
Everything, water, the whole
phone,
bit.
well, yeah. the
okay,
whole
but
bit.
he's lowering that to 25.
Yes,
And tools and equipment,
tools and equipment.
he's got 10 on the temporaries that was
But
printed
it's
out.
still 10.
It's still, so that's the same. And supplies. Now, I did see an email from him that he sent to his guys stating that, when they take somebody to the ER to try to pick up supplies,
Supplies,
cut back on
that,
that,
yeah.
so is he gonna leave that
He's
there?
gonna leave it at 10,000 for now,
Okay.
yeah.
And repairs, now, is that repairs on trucks, or is that repairs on building, is
That's
that
repairs of tires, pump testing, oil changes, it's for the fire trucks.
trucks? Okay, I just wanted
Do we have another copy of that?
to, this, yeah, this was emailed,
Okay.
and I just printed it off tonight. Training, did he leave that at 5?
Yes,
Okay. And the insurance, now, is this insurance, building insurance,
this is,
employee insurance?
he's saying it's medical health plus Otarma property.
Now, is he leaving that at 133?
He brought it down to 100.
Is that in line with, Tarma, I don't know if you guys talked,
I
but
think
he
he
did
said-
have the breakdown because you sent that.
Yeah, I think he said his share was
He
like
said was
14 or
okay.
18.
Okay.
He emailed it back, said his share, he agreed with it.
Okay, so that's gonna go down to 100. In contracts, what does he pay out of that?
Preventative maintenance, firehouse software, air tank testing, that sort of stuff. That he has, preventive maintenance contracts and,
Okay. And other expenses, he had it 2,
yeah.
and previous year before that was at 7. What's he got in that
He
line?
just says whatever doesn't fit in any of the other lines, it's gonna get dumped into that line.
Okay, so that's like a dump line.
Yeah.
Okay, and Medicaid, Medicare share, he's still got it 20.
20,
Okay. EMS supplies, now he's got 85 there,
right.
and I think that was the question that I had up here on 10A09, he's got supplies.
Well, this is specific to EMS. This would be for oxygen masks, needles, Band-Aids, and I think he's gonna try and keep that to a minimum by filling the supplies at the
With the
hospital.
hospitals, okay, so is he gonna leave that there for now?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Okay. And then repairs,
EMS repairs, those are ambulance repairs and possibly a truck repair.
okay, so he had that up here as well too, right, 10A08, equipment?
10A08, no, 10A08 was just basically tools, anything that might be, needed to be replaced. Now, under ten A 10, he also has repairs. We're dealing with two different types of repairs, fire and EMS.
Okay,
And he's trying to keep those separate.
separate, okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
And then,
So if it's an ambulance repair, it would come under EMS, but if it's a fire truck or
Goes
squad,
under,
that'd go, yeah.
okay, and the EMS contracts,
That's what we
is that
pay,
through BE, or not?
you
You know
have
that,
a-
yeah,
yeah.
okay. And I believe he told you, our collection rate for EMS last time was at 85%, which is about the highest that we've had in a long while.
Right.
How you doing, Mark?
Hey, guys.
Okay, salary,
Now, one of the other things that we want to mention from Dennis is, he took the payment for the building right off the top. He's not showing it coming in, and he's not showing it going out because it comes out before we even see it.
Right.
Because we treat it as a lien against our levies. So there is no in and out on that.
No, it's automatic,
Yeah, yeah.
goes right to the bank.
Right.
You knew that, didn't you?
Yeah, so, yeah,
so he doesn't show that on his appropriation?
No, because we don't get it. It doesn't come to us.
No, but it's
We don't-
cost of doing business.
No, but
we
it's-
Even though it's a zero,
we don't show it coming in, and we don't show it going out.
It's taken
it's
out
gone.
before we ever get to taxation.
Yeah,
We're talking about the payment on our fire station.
Oh,
yeah.
your debt retirement service.
Yeah, yeah, so this number here, this general property tax,
yeah,
he says gross, you gotta add that 35,000
okay,
payment
so
to that.
He's doing that.
he's doing it, but it's not, yeah,
Yeah,
'cause that's
it's
like,
not showing up on the chart, or on the.
Yes, okay.
But it is happening,
okay,
yeah.
all right. So, the changes that was made from this one that we got, can you make sure Jeannie gets, or did you already get that?
Okay, I'll give you a copy of this thing.
Yes. And then the next one we got is zoning, which the only thing, we're still leaving the other expenses, we're gonna still cap that at 5,000.
5,000 for now.
Because Pete actually,
He didn't use,
he didn't
not
even use
1,000?
that. I
Yeah.
mean, he was, the way he contacted the people and got stuff done, we didn't have to.
Do, yeah, yeah.
So we just gotta make sure Pete knows if he does have to use that to kinda keep
There's
an eye on that. Everything else in the salaries, for that, does that include the new, cause he went from 9 to 11?
I don't know if that does include it or not.
Does,
What's it say?
this is at 14.2, salaries and fees.
Okay, so 11.
So 11, so he's at,
11,000, and another 2,200, so it'd be about 13,200. So he's adding another 1,000 on top of that, so.
should that be a little bit higher, I would think?
Well, I mean, he doesn't really have that many fees. I mean, if he goes to a, training session or they're normally like a $50, something like that. So
Okay.
I would leave it at that.
Okay, and the expenses, we're gonna leave the same, that applies, okay, so zoning's okay. And fire EMS training center, Dennis said they ain't really doing much of that.
No,
That was a separate page that was in there,
okay.
Fund 15, so we should do that. Now, on the general bond retirement note, Dursklag still on there, and fire equipment principal, which would be the new building. That's the only other loans that we have out there.
Right now, but there's one coming through for Beaver Trail. Is that considered a loan, a low interest loan?
Yeah,
Is-
that.
$3,800 a month?
Yeah, right.
and that should come out of the general fund.
Okay, well, we need to make sure that, we'll have to go back and look at the general fund one then, and make sure
Sure
that
that it's, yeah.
we're covered in there. Okay, I think that's all the ones I had on that one. So Chris is good, now all we gotta do is the park and cemetery. And I think we probably ought to leave the cemetery, actually, I don't know, maybe we gotta ask Mark that question. We have that tornado that went through the park, so right now, or cemetery.
Cemetery, yeah.
So we took $100,000 transfer out of the general fund, put in the cemetery line item right now. And the money's gonna go back, well, we hope all of it goes back into the general fund, we transfer it back. Does that have to be on the temporary appropriations that we moved?
Yeah, the temporary appropriations are necessary to give you the right to do what you need to do. So in your appropriations, you would have to show that we are appropriating $100,000 to be transferred to that account to be used for that. Now, there's two ways that you can do that, on the other end, okay? I understand you have insurance, claim for that, okay? So, to avoid making double entries, what you could simply do is take the insurance money, deposit directly into the general fund to reimburse it for it, rather than put the insurance fund back in to that fund, and then reimburse it that way.
Okay, that's how we were gonna do it.
Yeah. Either way
We were
would be.
going the other way, just so that it was easy, and if
Yeah.
anybody asked a question,
Yeah,
that we can say, hey, here's what we allocated,
yeah.
here's what we got
And it
in.
depends on what's convenient for Jean, how she does it. I mean, from the auditor's standpoint, as long as you can account for it, they're not gonna care which way you do it. Some people may argue the cleaner way is to just reverse what you did, because then it's easy, we get an insurance payment, okay, if that's for the cemetery, why was it deposited in the general fund? Even though it could be, because you paid it out of there, and you do it the reverse way to do that. But your appropriation should reflect the fact that you're appropriating $100,000 from the general fund to pay for repairs, replacements, or improvements at the cemetery by depositing the cemetery fund, right?
Okay. And then, so that takes care of the cemetery, then the way we're gonna do it then would be, I think it's better for the public to see that than.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends on how, there's a minimum way you have to do things, and anything after that, they're not gonna care, and it just depends on how you want it to present. Some people think it's more clean to do it that way, or it's more transparent to do it that way.
Yeah.
You can do it. If I'm on the subject, if I could just take a moment, so that, I don't know if Jean, if they explained this to you, this used to come up every year for 20 years when I was here. They'll get the bill from the cemetery with the water assessment on it. And then they look at the agreement and they say, well, we weren't supposed to pay it, so they want to know why is that showing up, okay? Well, the reason is, the agreement is that they didn't abate it or waive it. What they did is they suspended the collection. They said, okay, if you're not going to use the water, we're not going to make you pay for it, but we're not going to take it off, because at any time you decide to use the water or you sell it, then you have to pay all that back. Because all the fiscal officers said, well, Mark, why does this keep showing up? Because it doesn't mean we either have to pay it or we don't. No. So when you get that, you don't have to panic or anything. Just file it away, even though it's a nuisance getting the bill. But I had a meeting with those guys, and I went over the agreement with them. They said, yeah, you don't have to pay anything. It will compound as a delinquency. It will be an interest on it. We're not going to ever come to collect it. But at the time it goes that you tap in or you sell it, I don't think we're going to sell a cemetery. If you do that to a private person, then all that money would be due at that time.
And then the park. Now, the park board insists on, and I still say no, they still want, you've seen their minutes, they still want all the money from the gazebo rentals to go into their shelter.
Yeah,
My
every,
thought is, if they're gonna be responsible for 100% of the they're gonna be responsible for 100% of the maintenance and improvements, then yes. But if the general fund is gonna continue like we've done in the past, and at least pay for the mowing, then we should at least get something back to compensate us for that portion of it.
That's the way I feel.
So as long as we're paying for something over there, I don't think we should be given
All of
any of
it.
that
No.
any of those proceeds.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Just another, because your situation is different than a lot of people, okay? It starts off all being your money. So you always start off with all the money comes to you, and then it's what you give back. It isn't that you get money from them and put it in their account, and then you transfer it back. In other words, when they get income, you put it in their account, but then you transfer it back to the general. It should be the reverse. It should be all deposited in the general, and you do that. So, I mean, I understand mechanically what you're saying is, if we're gonna give them so much money to run the place, and then they're gonna get some income, but we're not gonna see the income, because that's gonna be put in that same account, right? That's what you're saying? Then the way you do it is, you start off with all the money goes to the general, and then you just give them what you want from that, which would be the minimum to do that. So they never, from an accounting standpoint, they never receive the money that they're collecting, because it's still the township's money.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like we've always done
Yeah,
before.
but I think
Okay.
what Rita did was she kind of set
Well-
a subline of some sort.
She made a
She
line
had
item
fundraiser.
for the fundraisers, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the gazebo,
But
the
it's still-
shelters or
Right,
anything.
No.
It still comes into the general
Still comes
fund,
in general
even
fund.
the fundraisers that
Yeah.
we do.
Because,
And she slid it into that subline to kind of give an idea as to what they're actually.
Yeah, and that, they do that so they can account for it, but again, the theoretical model is, it's not them getting money, then them giving it to you, and then you deciding what then you spend it directly on the thing, or instead of giving it to them. Money just goes in the general fund, and if you wanna spend money on your park, you make an appropriation, you agree to it, and you do it. Even though they may consider it, their money for the purpose of being able to administer how they do the money.
Right.
Now, I'm not for sure that the amount that she had sent in their minutes, what was it, 25,000? I don't think all that was fundraiser money.
Well, 17,000 was from Cafaro, 3,000
But
was
how
from
much of it did they use?
they haven't used any of it.
no, right.
Okay.
3,000 was
Church.
from the church, and then that anonymous donation of 5,000.
Right.
So there was
Okay.
basically.
Oh, you got my check on that?
Yeah.
I think we did, Mark, thank you.
Appreciate that. I think they're getting confused with the regular voted-in park members, is what I think the park board is doing.
Yeah.
And they're
Well,
not.
that's typical of those ad hoc things. They
Yeah.
tend to take on a life of their own, and they see themselves as being a little bit autonomous. And so they're looking at the money that you allocate to parks as being really their money in terms of how they want to spend it. And it's which pocket it comes into.
Right.
But from an accounting standpoint, you want it, the model is that because it's not a park district,
Right.
anything that comes in, no matter how they generate it, whether it's a fundraiser, a donation, an entry fee, whatever, that goes all to the general fund, because you don't have a park district, so you don't have a park fund. And then you spend that money out of your general fund, so if they come in and say, here's a bill, we hired somebody to fix a gazebo, or we did that, then you just pay it. Yeah. Now, and it saves Jeannie the thing of keep transferring money, where, she usually gets money from them, so she puts it in their account. Then you guys go ahead and spend extra money on that, and then what she does is, instead of spending it from that account, she spends it from the general and has to transfer it back.
Right.
I just would leave it all in the general account, and either everything goes in the general account, everything goes out. And what do they care as long as it gets paid or doesn't get paid, right?
I think their intention is to be able to see how successful the park board has been in fundraising and supporting
Yeah.
the park.
Well, Jeannie has to write a receipt for all those deposits come in, am I correct, Jeannie? So there's always gonna be a record, or somebody comes in and says, Jeannie, I'd like to see what deposits were made that we gave you, that we actually collected, and we brought the money to you. She readily can print that out, yeah.
And the other thing is, Mark, you wrote us a legal opinion on that. The park board is not allowed to have a fundraiser without a 501c3 organization.
The park board, as a independent group, okay, if they have a fundraiser and they're not a 501c3, then they would have to pay the taxes on that if it was due. And there's a lot of exemptions and thresholds, so it depends on what they get. They may not have to pay a tax, but they might be subject to it depending on what it is, and they would have to deduct that first, file their return, and then they would give the balance to you, okay? And they don't have to, and the other mistake people make is, you know, there's a difference between being nonprofit and tax exempt. You could be each of them, or you can be both, okay? And you don't have to be a corporation, okay? You can be an individual. The Little Leagues and Boy Scouts and Girls, well, not the Boy Scouts, but the Little Leagues and stuff, they're probably not incorporated historically, so that they're what they call an association, okay? But as an association, do that. Now, the only thing that you might be able to do is extend to them your umbrella for because they're appointed for you, they may be able to use your umbrella so they don't have to file separate returns. You know, because you want to avoid that. You know, I mean, those people are voluntary, not going to get in there, because you're in a situation you couldn't pay their fees for them to have an accountant, you know, do all that stuff to do it. So my initial impression would be is that if they do a fundraiser for the township, they don't need the 501c3 as long as you control what they do or approve it, okay? And they don't need the 501c3 to be able to have people deduct it, because a government agency is also a tax deductible. So like anonymous contributions, if I get anonymous, because you wouldn't know, but if anybody made you a donation just to you, I could come in and say, Ted, I'm going to write you guys a check for $3,000. You spend it how you want, police or fire. I can take that on my taxes as a tax deduction. I'll be able to do that because you're a government, so that same exemption applies to you.
Because I know previously, or at least the last couple of fundraisers, they had the Optimus Club as a sponsor.
Yeah.
And the Optimus Club.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, right, you could,
And then
you
the
can find some way to funnel it through, sure.
And then they made a donation to
Right.
the township.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, we funneled all the money through the Optimus
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah, and that's a good way to do it, and, you know, maybe it even adds a little bit more accountability, because you got more people checking, you know, as that goes through, to be able to do that.
So if they're doing fundraisers, they need to go to the
The Optimus Club to ask them to be sponsored.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Now, let me ask you this, when they make their checks out, they make them to the Optimus Club, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the perfect way to do it, that's the better way to do it, because then nobody can question, you know.
If we had to send a few
I mean,
checks
from an
back
auditor's
last time,
standpoint.
Yeah, I think we did have to
Yeah.
do that. It was made out to the park,
Right.
the township park.
Right.
It had to be.
The other thing that I want to ask Mark, because this came up, and we've never done this before. When they collect money at the impound at the PD, those guys get certified check or money order?
Certified bank check or money order only.
Is what you accept.
That's it.
Okay.
Those individuals don't have to be bonded, correct?
Anybody who takes money has to be bonded. There's a yes and no to that. Okay? The requirement for bonding comes in statutorily, okay? The other bonding is what you require to protect you as a kind of a due diligence thing, okay? Constables have to be bonded. You are not constables because you're a police district, right, Michael?
Right.
Yeah. So these guys don't need it, because they would not, in the normal course of their business, handle money. They don't collect fines at the window and do that. Now, it would not be required of you to have the person who is actually physically collecting the money from those things and giving it to Jeannie to be bonded, except that you might want them to be bonded, because that way, if it turns out later they stole the money, you call the bonding company, they pay you, and they go after them, and you don't go after them. So, you know, and what makes that decision is really the affordability. You look at the bond and say, okay, how much money are we bringing in? how much is it gonna cost us to protect that? And if it's not a whole lot, do that. I mean, I have some townships that actually, in Mahoney County, buy what they call a blanket bond. And it covers everybody in the township, that if you ever touch money, and because of that they lose it, it's called a blanket bond, and they can go ahead and do that. But the legal answer to your question is, you're only required to have a bond when the statute designates your position in the township of having one. You guys ought to have one, the fiscal officer's gotta have one, the zoning inspector's gotta have one by statute, and the one you just, what's the other one? Constables, and the constables have to have it. Everybody else would be discretionary, so you're allowed to do it if you want to protect yourself. And a lot of people will do that when you're dealing with individuals, because you guys know how hard it would be to chase somebody if they stole all your money, took off to Alabama, you know. And plus, they're going to be broke anyway, you're not going to do it. At least this way you have a bonding company that you know, that can do it. And so what you look at, you say, you know, how much money at any one time are they going to get in? And you know, based upon your internal procedures, I mean, how much could they get away with when absolutely somebody would have to find it because they would know that there's a thing. And then you just look at the risk. And if you think that you have enough of a risk that warrants making sure you have a bond to account for the money, then you get the bond.
So,
But if the checks are being made out, Gene, you said they were certified check or cash?
We only accept certified checks from your bank, so the individual would have to go to the bank,
Right, yeah.
have it drawn out of their account, made it out to
Yeah.
Bazetta Township.
See, that doesn't really have to do with the law, but that has to do with, if they're those type of checks, it's the ability of the person that takes them to convert them to his use. So you're looking at, in other words, is it more difficult or not possible to a person, in other words, if you have a check that's written out to you guys, certified or whatever, can a person go ahead and forge somebody's signature or deposit it or do that? So, if that's only what you're looking at, it isn't because it's a certified check. All that's doing is guaranteeing is you're gonna give the guy the car because you know his money's gonna be good. But that doesn't affect the bond. The bond is still independent of that.
probably should have them guys bonded.
Maybe we should check in there too.
I mean, what I would do is just get a price. I mean, they'll have a form you fill out, say how much money does a person handle, do that, and they'll give you a quote. And sometimes they may determine they don't get enough money, they're not even bondable, because the insurance company doesn't do it that way to do that. But yeah, the issue of what type of check it is for your protection on the first level, but it wouldn't affect, you can't say, well, because they're already certified check, we don't need a bond. No, because if the guy takes a certified check and he can forge it or whatever he wants to do, turn it in, as long as he can get the money, then it doesn't matter.
If our insurance has a dishonesty, clause in there, cover up to $5,000, would that cover?
You have to look at the language, but yes, if you have a, because I have that in my office policy, if one of my secretaries or somebody, goes a night deposit and keeps money or something, I'll cover up to like $5,000 theft or something. You'd have to read the policy, and then I would call the insurance company and say, give them your specific. We operate an impound lot. We have officers who are not bonded who will be handling money. If it turns out that it's discovered that any of those employees will have converted it or stolen that money from us, does your insurance company cover us on that loss?
So we may want to call it.
It probably does, but you just, make sure, because, insurance companies will come here and tell you, Ted, till they're blue in the face, they cover you every which way but loose. Nuclear disasters, everything. And then you file a simple claim for a motor vehicle, and then they send you this certified letter of reservation of rights saying, we're going to extend coverage, but we're going to look at this, and we may determine that paragraph AC41 on page 6 in fine print says we don't have to pay.
We're finding that out now.
Yeah.
With the cemetery, yeah.
Yeah, they immediately go for the exemption. I used to get so mad at my personal guys like that. I says, why do you even say this stuff, okay? Just give me the contract and it'll be what it is. I says, and you're doing it to sell. I understand what you're doing. Oh, we cover this, we cover that. I says, but the first thing you do is you look for a way out, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 06219 to approve the revised department appropriation at 06319 to adjourn the meeting at
4:35.
4:35.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Hovis?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Rod?
Yes. Okay, that's a copy of Jeannie.
Now, so we can close that out. Mark, just got a question for you, because we